Uh, this is Paul. Yeah. Preventing that gender bias. Um, my sons are in the wrong grades. Yes. And your answer to your crimes, right, was to accuse me of crimes and then disappear me. Yeah. Using what is known as restoration laws. Now, obviously, when you allege that I was in Jefferson County on June 16th of 2017, yeah, and then I was emailing the co-workers of Heidi Lee Budnick. Yeah. Your answer to all your problems was to have me disappear. Yes. As in, I no longer exist. You don't have to listen to me. Now, we got real close on that. Do you remember the cell hearing that took place? Yeah. And then Judge Landis, there was an election. Yes. And then Mindy Walker was the one that issued the dismissal of the case because of the supposed incompetence of myself. Yeah. But I would say I'm competent enough to know that they're in the wrong grades. Now, that should be an indication that I'm competent enough, yes, to parent them. Now, there are what's known as civil rights. In fact, there's a whole division of them in the Department of Justice. Yeah. Now, I emailed you what the FBI says about civil rights. Yeah. But for some reason, they're not doing anything. Now, I told the FBI, yeah, you stupid fuckers are getting sued. Because my thought is when the FBI refuses to arrest those that violate the civil rights, yeah, they don't deserve to have the jobs that they have. They don't deserve to have the assets that they have. Yes. And I'm going to sue every individual in the Federal Bureau of Investigation that has any knowledge of this. Now, I know it sounds mean, but when you have assets and your job is to enforce the civil rights, you don't deserve the assets that you have. Now, this division of the civil rights, yeah. hmm For some reason, the civil rights coordinators of the school districts did not understand exactly what I'm saying. Mm. Then there are those voting rights, fair housing rights, equal employment opportunity. Obviously, that's being violated. I have no state issued identification. Yeah. My right to public accommodations. And then law enforcement misconduct and discriminatory policing. Yes. Educational opportunities. Hate crimes. Ooch. Now, human trafficking. This is one for those that have lookalikes. Let's say I did find out that Mike had made a lookalike of Marilyn. Yes. And I asked Marilee and Marilyn both to remove their pants, spread their legs so I could see their vaginal openings. And I'm like, yep, your vagina looks different. Yeah. Now, what's the difference between clone trafficking and human trafficking? Kind of a good question. Yes. I would say that the trafficking of any manufactured being that is not the actual individual, yes, is very, very similar to human trafficking. True. Now you would say, well, I made this look alike because your wife wouldn't have sex with you anymore. Yeah. And I would say, well, you actually are making these clones to traffic in what is known as cloning. Yes. Now let's say you're a corporation. You're one of these big technological companies that said, well, we have to have lookalikes, we have to control them, we have to be on them all the time. I'm thinking that there could be some significant international lawsuits for war crimes, yes, of corporate espionage, yes, of having knowledge of the making of any lookalike of any citizen of any nation, yes. Because you're actually trafficking in what looks like human beings, yes, very similar to human trafficking, yes, because you say that the individual is the actual human that you're trafficking in. Now, I'm going to want to use those international courts, Germany. For the trafficking of what looks like human beings that are not human beings. Now, I know you're a corporation. You're involved in a little corporate criminality. And I'm not going to name names, okay? But for all of you that have been paying the payroll, yes, I'm going to sue you for trafficking in what looks like human beings but are not for the purpose of prostituting the individuals that are not human beings. Now, it's going to be a few $100 billion today. Yeah. Because every time I find anything that looks like an employee of the government, I'm suing you, the corporation. Every time I find anything that looks like a woman that I want to have sex with, yes, I'm suing you as a corporation. See, for every woman that volunteers to make a baby with me, and she says, I do know about Marini. Yes, I do know about the double G's. I'd say, well, why don't you volunteer to have sex with me? We will make a baby, yes, and we will prove as two human beings, yes, that look-alike human being that they've been trafficking in, yes, would have deprived me the right to conceive a baby with you, the woman. Now, it's one of these more complicated lawsuits.